I think the bow. I like the bow. What do you think, Tasia?
I like the bow. I'm also a fan of watching bomb strats from the get-go. Just because, if anything, like, bombs are just technically very difficult to get through the escape sequence with. You really have to manage things very well. Compass to Misery Mire to start off with. Is the blue cane still possible in hard mode? That is a great question. I do believe it is. The invulnerability doesn't work. It's just the sparkle that hits. So it'll still do damage, and that's really all the check that it makes.
Oh boy, and that's what we've got here today.
Oh boy. So Sparkle Cane hard mode. This is gonna be a fun time, guys. Of course, blue cane, best cane, clearly.
That's an out there opinion, I would say.
We, the Cane of Brian and I have a special bond that we've established over the years.
So because the cane's going to drain at a pretty fast rate here in hard mode, we're probably not going to see our runners use this too much and just kind of hope to luck into, the bomb drop that we're looking for here. Using pots a lot is a good strategy.
Yeah, they're going to do what they can with the pots, but yeah, I don't anticipate us doing a lot of bomb farming, which it really just plays up a lot of what could possibly happen in this season. I mean, just think about, the cascading effect that Burna start has. You can do less farming for bombs, which means you're likely going to have to skip that initial room, which means you're going to wait until you have the gloves. And if it's a late glove start, then who knows what's going to be there. And it just dominoes all through the rest of the game.
Wow, that is an incredibly early GT big key.
Who called number 4? Anyone call number 4 in chat?
Big key guessing game is already over, folks.
All right, so they are both synced up as they enter into this final ball and chain guard room. Gonna use pot strats. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. Jet wastes one of the pots, so he's gonna have to he's gonna have to refresh this room, which is gonna put him behind a little bit here.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. It's really annoying when you're trying to get through escape as fast as possible. Little things that you should be able to do easy peasy every time. It's so annoying in the escape sequence in particular.
Yeah, and I think that first pot that he just kind of threw against the wall, he didn't... it's almost muscle memory at some point when you're going through this. And then you're like, oh wait, I need that.
Yeah, but ultimately, it's only going to cost him a couple of seconds. But it is funny how the escape sequence really, it sets your tone for how you're feeling about your race. So little moments like that where you have little brain farts, it really sucks early on in a race. But I'm sure Jet will recover, no problem.
Glan still killing enemies with these pots, trying to find bombs. Still no bomb drops from either of these runners. And this is a situation, Sabo, and you've gone farther in the tournaments than I have, so maybe you can enlighten me a little bit more. But it doesn't matter, where you are in the race. You always feel behind if you don't have bombs at this point in time, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, unless you're most of the way through a race and you definitely hit the god route, like you always are going to feel behind. So a little moment like this here, not picking up the bombs, you're thinking, my opponent definitely got bombs. I'm totally screwed.
And Glan sitting here, you know, he does not have the magic. Neither runner really has the excess magic to farm for any bombs of any kind. You do what you can, and no bombs in that last treasure chest. Get a little bit of magic refill, use a pot, hoping beyond all hope, but... Oh, and Jet! With the 8 bomb drop, he still will have some magic as well. Jet making up some time there. He won't know it, but he's got to feel pretty good about that 8 bomb drop, though.
Ooh, and Glan picks one up as well. So a single bomb for Glan. He's going to be in fine shape to get through the rest of Escape here.
All right, so both runners end up getting the bomb. It was looking real hairy there for a little bit, but glad they both ended up getting it. All right.
50 rupees, a key to pod, and another heart.
So far, so good. Now, worth noting that normally through the escape sequence, you're just kind of on the lookout for the map, because if you don't get the map, you can go ahead and skip it. This last chest in Sanctuary, but again, this is key sanity, guys. Remember, all the values of dungeons are kind of shuffled around a little bit. Who knows where that map is? So it's going to be kind of a fun race here, I think.
Yeah, Key Sanity is a pretty fun mode. It kind of changes things up just enough. It allows you to, it weights dungeons a little bit differently. Dungeons like Skull Woods that you maybe would skip on because it's only 2 unique items in the regular randomizer is instead, much more valuable to visit. So you see a couple different little routing tweaks throughout the run, which is kind of fun.
Glan checks his tree pole, just some arrows, and of course our bush crab has single rupees. That's unfair. That appeared to be a key of some sort on the edge. Oh, is it a big key or a small?
It looks like it's a small key, but yikes, of all the small keys that it could be, is it possibly the swamp small key? That is the worst feeling. What key could that possibly be?
Oh, and Glan gets rescued. 10 bombs just sitting there in the forest woods. He will not have to buy bombs. I know chat was looking out and saying that he might have to buy bombs. He's in a much better position than he was there. Jet won't have to pick it up, and there's another pod small key. Where do you think pod might be an early check for these guys? Maybe.
I wonder. Yeah. Yeah, I think if a seed is giving out pod keys like candy, it's probably going to be one that you're going to have to visit, at least in some capacity. Whether it's a pendant or a crystal, we don't know, but probably in all likelihood holding something, so you're going to want to have to check it out at some point.
Well, pod itself has 6 small keys, so even though it has 5 checks normally, it has, oh gosh, I have to stop and do the math here. So normally 5 plus 6 plus another 3, so it has a lot of checks, guys.
We find our glove here in Blind's hut. Alrighty, we're pretty much in sync now. Glan unfortunately missed his bomb placement there in Blind's hut, and so that gave Jet just a little bit of a chance to take a small lead here at this time.
Oh, these straight line races through Kakariko, Sabo, you and I both know they mean almost nothing. It really comes down to the routing choices at the end. I gotta say, for a hard mode seed, we're already at 7 hearts. I mean, is this really hard mode?
Yeah, I don't know. We've got our Titan's Mitts already as well, so we're only a Moon Pearl away from Dark World access. We've got the flute here. Like, it's going pretty good so far.
Blue Mails, 7 hearts, Titan Smith's flute. I mean, what is this, guys? Who rolled this? We need a second. All right, and our swag duck is loose now. Both runners, of course, following pretty much the same path. It is pretty standard once you're in the standard mode. Just sweep through Kakariko. It has a much a higher density of the Sphere 1 locations. We've seen some people go over and do kind of low percent plays, checking out, what Eastern Palace has to see if the value's out there. But so far, everything's in Kakariko. This has been a pretty stacked CAC so far.
Yeah, most definitely. And I think because this game is a game 3 with kind of everything on the line, you, at least from the start, you just want to kind of run the usual route. You don't want to, mess with too much, take any wild gambles at this point, see kind of where the seed's leading you, and then maybe start to make a couple of plays.
Yeah, I don't anticipate any huge gambles, at least in the early game. I tend to agree with you there. Now, it's entirely possible if a runner makes a mistake at some point. For example, Jet, with that early kind of miss that he made in the escape sequence, I can see him taking a gamble and checking something maybe without a check and just going for it. I don't know. We shall see. Seems like Glan is going to go ahead and do the race game. Jet is, with his check, sees it's just bombs, nopes out. Glan's probably going to pick those up. He's only at 5 bombs right now, though.
Alrighty, a boring compass to Turtle Rock there.
All right, we'll see what our sunken treasure is now. We'll probably end up going over here doing Mini Moldorm as well. Where we go from there, some people check Ice Rod Cave, other people immediately back out and do some fake flipper strats, although no Moon Pearl. Oh, this makes it an interesting call.
Yeah, that does kind of shake up where our runners might go next. Death Mountain kind of opened up at this point. East Death Mountain, lots of items over there in Paradox Cave. It's maybe possible that the Moon Pearl is hanging out over there, so we might see our runners go that way next, I think.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any question at this point. You see that hook shot, and we already have the flute, so we have logical access. Go north, son. Let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I can see is maybe doing a couple more checks down off the mountain first, just to try and grab that Moon Pearl ahead of time before making the play up to the mountain. But I think that pull is just too strong. I think Jet's heading that way right now. Oh, he's fluting over to Ice Rod Cave, so he is going to do a couple little checks before running right up the mountain.
I think Jet is absolutely playing it safe. Glan is a great runner, but if I'm being perfectly honest, I would say Jet has a better execution than Glan at this point in time. So Jet can kind of just play the safe game, force Glan to make those gambles in order to beat him.
Yeah, I mean, we might see him check out Sahasrah's closet first, although that checks a little bit of movement it takes to get over there, so he might end up going up the mountain now. And it looks like he is.
And both runners are going through this dark room blind. This is technically out of logic because we do not have the lamp. We will see runners in a sword seed kind of hold out their sword and follow the sparkle on the screen to kind of get their bearings. Doing it without a sword is a whole different task, but Glan manages to do it. Is rewarded with a small key to Ice Palace, not going there anytime soon.
All right, so both runners are through with that set of dark rooms there. That's not truly too bad. But with, as you were saying, kind of with the hook shot, it's a little bit of a trickier room. Usually we're using the sword, but no trouble for these guys at all.
Dodging some cabbages here, trying to get through. Going up, gonna do the check. Glan looks like he's gonna go ahead and do the check. Another 300 rupees. It's a very rich seed. And our clue, what do we have a clue? Big Key of Evil's Bane is, we already know. Thanks.
So, I mean, Glan's got Zora money now. Jet choosing to not go for the 300 there. Probably not going to be, too bad a play on Jet's part to skip out on that check, but it is always nice to have a little bit of extra cash.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Although the seed has really been throwing money right and left at these guys. So it'll be interesting to see what ends up happening here. Really, I think both of these runners are also hoping to find the Moon Pearl here directly, just so they can go ahead and complete their Death Mountain sweep and do Dark Death Mountain at the same time, with Hookshot Cave being right there. Boots and Fire Rod already looking like a solid play here from both of these runners.
Yeah, geez, we're just progression everywhere we go here. This is excellent.
And as someone said, this is looking like a Jet seed, and I mean, yeah, Jet's playing it, but legitimately like a fast seed so far.
Wow.
Ice Rod Mirror.
What is this?
So Ice Rod, Fire Rod, Mirror, and Boots all up in Paradox Cave so far. This has been an amazing Paradox Cave, and we still have the Spiral Cave to get to yet.
I am a little surprised that we're still missing our Dark World access, given that we've seen so much so far. I thought for sure the Moon Pearl was going to show up, and it could still be here in the Spiral Cave, but I guess it's somewhere else.
Now, we're in a position that veteran runners will be able to do the Super Bunny glitch on Dark Death Mountain if they so desire. Am I right? I'm not familiar enough with the Super Bunny glitch itself to know if it's a possibility in the setup.
Wow, so there is...
Never mind.
Wow, fantastic. It would have been possible. They could have done Super Bunny from this spot. They would have entered the Dark World and been able to walk into the Super Bunny cave, drop down the holes like they were supposed to, and they are able to open the chest still. The Moon Pearl kind of eliminates all of that, and we are good to go.
Commentator's blessing?
Maybe.
Here's the problem, as I'm seeing it, and this has got to be running through these runners' heads. This has been a really obvious sequence of events. I mean, the seed has breadcrumbed them exactly where it wants to go. So they got to think that the opponent is right behind them wherever they're at, and they'd be right in that regard. Mm-hmm. If something really important is in an out-of-the-way location, for example, in an Agina's cave, that could really mess with the runners' heads once they get there. But we won't know for a little bit.
Yeah, and one thing that I find, Titan's Mitts, Pearl, super early, Flute, we got Boost, we got lots of movement possibilities here. We've got access to Dark World. This seed is wide open, so we might see a lot of divergence here, and it's whoever finds the remaining pieces of progression that's going to be in a lot better a position. Plus, we're looking for keys as well on top of all of this.
Yeah, I guess that gets lost because we haven't found a whole lot of keys anywhere, have we?
Yeah, really, we haven't.
Oh, Jet's going over here. Looks like he might be dipping into, and logically, we do have access to Tower of Hera. So this is going to be an interesting chat. Glan is opting to go over to the Eastern Palace area. Check Shamalama Ding Dong's closet here.
I guess that Glan is kind of working more like methodically through the seed and is trying to get rid of as many of the like Sphere 1 early locations just out of the way, just in case he's missed something. He's wanting to make sure that he doesn't leave these kind of checks behind before running too far ahead.
We do see the green pendant is going to be Thieves Town. Jet picked up one of those 20 rupee locations, which normally would be a sword. So no sword there. Glan does also find the Bombos medallion there. We saw Ether was required for Turtle Rock, but at least another medallion picked up there.
Yeah, Bombos is a nice find there. 2 out of 3 medallions, although we're looking for, Ether for Turtle Rock at this point. We don't know if it's a pendant or a crystal, so that might not be important. But the more medallions, the better, I think.
Are you kidding me? Are you telling me that we have both fire and ice rod within the first 20 minutes of this particular race, and Turtle Rock has to be a pendant at this point in time, right?
Right? Yeah, totally.
All right, so divergence here. Jet checking Skullwoods, which is a little bit more dense than it normally is because of that key sanity logic. Glan checking Eastern Palace for that early logic. Again, some dark rooms in here, so we can only progress so far without a big key or the bow, or logically without the lamp. But both runners are fully capable of it once they get that far. It's just a matter of where do we go. Couple Misery Mire keys for him, though.
Yeah, those aren't, really required to get through the dungeon, but they will make moving through the dungeon a little bit easier when we do get there, if in fact we do need to go there.
So Jet checking. Oh, and it's a big key up here. Cape looks like it's going to be required depending on what that big key is, and if it's required, man, that's a rough go of it right there.
Yeah, just one more piece to kind of keep in the back of your memory there. You might need to come back to that spot.
Oh, Glan just saw single arrow there. Glan just saw something about a specialist requiring to unlock. I missed the first part of that one, unfortunately.
I also missed that. I was looking over at Jet's screen, so I didn't quite catch Glan's little clue there.
Oh, Swamp Palace small key in the purple chest. Oh, that's actually really significant there.
Yeah, that can logically be picked up at this point. We have everything we need to do the Smith chain. Don't have everything to get into Swamp Palace itself, but
more hearts for Jet. 9 hearts. Okay, we have a maximum of 14 hearts that you can possibly get because this is a hard mode seed. This is just so healthy of a seed for hard mode. I don't actually believe this is hard mode at this point in time.
Alrighty, so we got Glan checking out the Mire area. Working his way counterclockwise through. So he's going to check out Agina's cave here first, then I guess do checkerboard, and then finish off with the shed. Kind of an unusual route, but it works.
Oh, and Jet showed us, I think that's Quake to get into Misery Mire.
Yeah, I think I saw that too. And we've got our lamp here in the Mire shed, along with a key to Turtle Rock. Was that?
Yeah, another small key to Turtle Rock. Okay, so Lamp does provide us logical dark room access at very least. Jet now setting up. Looks like Bugnet. Yes. Hey, those AGA requirements just got a little bit easier there.
Yeah, no kidding. Now, if either of our runners are feeling particularly spicy, I think that they should take a dip into Misery Mire. Seeing as we can already get in there, it's a more valuable dungeon item-wise in Key Sanity, and so I'd really like to see one of our two runners give it a go.
Would be nice. The book is inside Desert Palace, which is interesting. So we know that our logical access was from the route that we decided to take. So both runners just kind of doing, running over each other's checks right now in these dungeons. One thing to note about Key Sanity is you really cannot be afraid to double dip dungeons because sometimes that's the logical requirement. Just bite the bullet and do it.
Yeah, it does take you a little while, I find, to make that commitment and finally start dungeon diving. But there definitely comes a point where you're just gonna have to, yeah, go for it.
Question in chat. In a swordless seed, what activates the tablets? And it is the hammer. You do need the hammer in order to activate the tablets. So that hammer was the most important item in a vanilla game just because it locked the most items. It's even more important in a swordless.
Alrighty, so Glan saves and quits, and I think Jet is using the flute here, so neither runner is thinking about doing a Misery Mire dive just yet, and that's okay. There's still so much left on the table at this point. This seat is still super wide open. It makes sense to maybe not take a dip yet.
All right, Glan cleaning up some of these other overworld spots that Jet has already done. Meanwhile, Jet is going to be in Village of Outcasts, it appears. Going to be doing the south route now. Checking the treasure chest game, maybe taking a dip into Thieves Town to get this first 4. Oh, as if we didn't have enough motivation to go to Pod. The Pod Big Key. All right, Jet working his way here through Thieves Town. Again, just going to be able to get the first 4, unless through some miracle the Thieves Town Big Key is in the dungeon itself, which in Key Sanity is a rarity and a bit of a troll, but still.
Ah, okay, so it looks like Glan is taking the dive into Misery Mire, and you don't need the hammer to activate the medallions in these particular spots.
Nope, you can go ahead and do it on these spots specifically. It's just the tablets that require it, or in the specific rooms, for example, in Ice Palace for Bombos. Or am I wrong on that one? It's been a little bit since I've done swordless.
I feel like the tablets you need the hammer for. I'm gonna stay. I think we're right on that one there. But with the medallions, it's the same with the Bombos medallion in Ice Palace. If you don't have the fire rod, you just stand on the little square and and you use the medallion and it activates. I don't think you could get too far in Ice Palace without a hammer as well, but I think that's how it works.
All right, so Glan kind of following his nose here and saying, I have everything to go ahead and dip Misery Mire, and it is a very, very dense dungeon in terms of treasure chests. There's the cape with a big key, so I imagine Jet might go immediately and go turn that in before too long.
Yeah, nice piece of knowledge to know what big key that is. Might kind of dictate where he decides to go next with like a dungeon dive.
All right, so Glan is going to get not only this hint tile, but also is going to be able to pick up the last treasure chest here. No big key, though. Worth noting, we'll not be able to get the big treasure chest here. A little bit unfortunate, but otherwise, a really solid clear.
Yeah, and that hint's not too bad either there. Not needing to do a big bomb is a nice little piece of knowledge.
Skull Woods, hey, you're right next door.
Well, yeah, Jet's definitely giving it a go, see what that might actually turn up for him.
He's really kind of committing and following through, which I like because he got the cape in the one area, knew that he needed it for that, and at the end of the chain, he has a big 300 rupees. So, darn.
Man, I'm kind of disappointed with this Misery Mire. It's been, heart pieces, a little bit of cash, but man, nothing significant. I had a feeling it was going to have something. We got one chest left that Glan can take a look at. Ugh, just a big 20.
That's really disappointing, considering all the breadcrumbs did seem to lead there. But there's still lots of other places for him to check. Jet, meanwhile, doing the digging game over here. Oh, another big key. Thieves Town big key.
Yeah, Thieves Town big. I mean, that's your first dungeon that you can complete. We don't. It's gonna be our green pendant. So. Do you go for it? I mean, I think you might end up clearing that one out just because there's not really a whole heck of a lot else that you can do right now.
Well, I mean, we still haven't done the aptly named Hype Cave, which is kind of on the route that Jet was going to go unless he got distracted by something. But it looks like he's going to be doing the Smith chain and then might think about it a little bit later. It's interesting how many items here in this western portion of the Dark World just kind of has items right next door needed to unlock them.
Yeah, I feel like the game Glan is playing here is there's already been so much progression that we've found item-wise in the overworld that the overworld can't possibly be more loaded than this. And so he's starting to dive some dungeons just to see if there's something else kind of kicking around there.
Meanwhile, Jet's going to commit to the overworld, do this kind of South Hyrule route, going to be checking... really making some smart checks here. With the mirror, he's going to be able to do Cape 45. He's going to be able to do Stumpy, and then go over here to Hype Cave while turning in the check for the Specialist. Really efficient routing here from Jet.
Oh, and he's also got that shovel. So this is a nice one. I didn't see that he had the shovel. That's also nice that you can do Stumpy and shovel in the same go here. Wow, the bow. How about that?
That really makes Pod even more attractive. You have the big key. You have two small keys. I think if you find one more key somewhere along the way, it almost becomes unquestionable not go to pod. But man, it's looking real attractive right now to me anyway.
It is. The only thing I think I'm concerned about is our actual access over to that part of East Arc World. We don't have the flippers or the hammer.
You are right. That would be kind of a deal breaker if we can't get there, huh?
I wonder if we're going to find that piece of the puzzle like right now or something.
Yeah, we're going to find the flippers and another pod key just in Hype Cave.
Yeah, right?
More money, another bottle, flippers! Okay, I'm half right.
See, you knew all along that that's what was going to happen, right? You just knew that we were just going to go to pod after this anyways, because the flippers were going to be in Hype Cave, right?
Right. I absolutely knew what was going to happen. Absolutely. What lottery number should you play, Drossi? 7.
Yeah, I like
that's
7.
all I
Good
got
call.
for you. 7.
Good call. I like 7. Yeah, it's a good lottery number. So good thing for Glan, he is going to find a lot of these items that Jet just picked up as well. He is also doing Smith Chain. So he's going to get bow, flippers, that small key to Swamp Palace. So kind of, you know, not too far off here. This is pretty tight still.
Chat pointing out, you know, do you really want to do Swamp Palace without the hammer? You're blocked pretty early. But man, if something is there, it could pay huge dividends, and it's not a huge time sink.
Alrighty, so Jet is not doing any of their Lake Hylia checks here. It's just you just did the island, and that was it. Makes sense. You're thinking about pod now. You want to get over there as fast as you can.
And really, at this point, you're hoping to get him there before you take another heart and a half of damage. He's despite it, all the health, and despite Blue Mail already being gotten, we're in kind of a risky situation here. He is going to make his Sahasrara checks, though, which makes sense. He can route these a little bit more efficiently than Glan did earlier, who made the gamble that there was going to be something here. Wasn't a ton, but we'll see. All right, so Glan is going to be picking up his water toads as well, while Jet finds Kiki the extortionist monkey.
So Glan checking in on our 5-6 crystals here. What do we got? Turtle Rock and Swamp Palace. Now we know that the big bomb itself is a dud today, but that is good knowledge. So you know that those two are crystals today.
That is worthwhile to know, and a little bit surprising that Turtle Rock with those early rods were already, it's one of our more important crystals, so interesting.
Nice graveyard ledge hint there. I think both runners have already checked that spot, so that's too bad. Not going to benefit either runner.
Nope, and there's that Swamp Palace small key. Glan happy to see that. Jet is using his bow to effect here. Still 2 keys in this dungeon. Has not burned a single one yet. Gonna try to avoid burning as many as he can. I think logically though, you're required to have so many before you can get to this back area, aren't you?
I think there is, yeah, there's definitely, you know, safeguards in place for you and requirements in the logic. So, you know, a dive into pod, you can kind of play it by the numbers and do it how you think the logic is supposed to. You're supposed to logically use the keys as opposed to sequence breaking anything. And it looks like Jet is kind of trying to follow that logic, clear out the front first.
So there's 1 key and 2 keys. So Jet has used now 2 keys to access the further part. He's not going to have any trouble because I'm 99% sure Jet knows how to hammer yump. I'm pretty sure I've seen him hammer yump before. So he's just going to be locked out of at least 1 treasure.
Yeah, so Glan's giving us some of these Hylia checks here. So Hobo with only 20 rupees, that's kind of unfortunate, but maybe he's gonna head back towards Zora and Waterfall, or he might end up following Jet and just he's going for pot, it looks like. Ooh, yep. Or maybe he's doing Pyramid here. Does he go for Catfish? That's a little bit more out of the way.
It is, but I think if you're Glan, you're maybe a little bit worried because after that initial kind of onslaught of items, a lot of the checks that he's made have not really panned out. So he might be a little bit concerned right now, might need to be making some low percent plays, trying to make a gamble. Here's a small key. GT, no going.
All right, so Glan is going to go for Catfish here. Jet really hasn't found too much here in Pod. And we're already 10 chests in, so there isn't really a lot to speak of yet.
A little bit disappointing. Let's see. Yeah, 50 rupees, and that's it. That's all Jet can do here in Palace of Darkness. Yeah, there wasn't anything there. I'm a little bit surprised. But, I mean, that's been the story so far of this seed. We're 42 minutes in. Everything seemed to be pointing towards Misery Mire. Everything seemed to be pointing towards Pod. Both those dungeons are coming up empty. Overworld has had most of the goodies. Oh my, big key to Misery Mire on the fish.
I'm sure Glan is less than hyped to be seeing that key. Alrighty, he's gonna go all the way around to Zora here. Check out Zora and the ledge here.
Meanwhile, Jet's doing Eastern. Glan did it earlier, so we already know that there's not much of anything again in the dungeon. Overworld's been the story so far.
Yeah, no kidding. It really has been a very Overworld heavy seed. All right, Zora is a scam as per usual.
Is that still a thing kids say these days? As per usual?
I don't know. I hope so, or else I'm horribly out of touch.
I mean, I know I am, so that's fine. I've accepted my oldness. Glan picking up some blue goo. This points, I think Glan might be heading towards Ice Palace here. or somewhere else.
Maybe just doing the Sick Kid check, and because he remembered it, and then maybe to Ice Palace, because I think you only buy blue goo if you're going to be heading towards Ice Palace. Okay, maybe not.
Or not. Thanks, Glan, making me a liar again. I can imagine he might also be going up here to Skull Woods because he does have the fire rod, so he might be looking to kill a boss. Meanwhile, Jet is at least done with the eastern area for now, has dipped the dungeons and found approximately Bumpkus.
Yeah, and walking out here, he's definitely going to be checking out Pyramid and likely into Catfish, and then maybe do the rest of his Zora-related checks after that.
So where do we go from here as far as what we know? I mean, are we looking at, the first few in Swamp Palace? Are we looking at going ahead and completing Thieves Town, which we know we can now do, although it wouldn't be a fun Thieves Town with Gate of Burna? God. Is it where Glan's going here in the back half of Skull Woods? I mean, we're starting to run out of locations here.
Yeah, we are, and we haven't really been given any, because the seed has been so open, we haven't been really given any kind of clear indication, at least at this point, as to what dungeon is supposed to be the next one to do. I feel like Back of Thieves might be a decent bet. I saw some people in chat talking about Ice Palace, like even without the hammer, you can get down pretty far, so I don't mind that play either.
I mean, there's a few different options, and none of them seem particularly attractive right now. And that's the problem. Is you make the attractive checks like it was a no-brainer. Hey, we have the flute and the hook shot. We're clearly going to go up to Death Mountain. But right now, we're stuck with a whole lot of nothing. Jet going to be making one of the interesting checks. Remember, Castle Tower has 2 keys normally in it. There's going to be one check that we can make here without the second key, at least. This might be something, and it has really tripped up other runners in insanity.
Just a big 20 after a little bit of trouble with the guard there, so that's too bad, but it was a good time to make this check, seeing as he was right here at Pyramid. So Glan, trying to conserve magic here, gonna go with the lamp here in the Gibdos torch lighting room.
Meanwhile, Jet looks like he's on his way up to do a catfish check, so he's also going to be giving that Misery Mire big key. Now, he hasn't done Misery Mire at all, so that might prompt him to go over in that direction.
Yeah, and if that Misery Mire big chest is the only thing holding something in Mire, that's going to be really rough for Glan, because he's already done a little clear of Misery Mire. But he's into the Moth fight right now, doing a pretty good job so far with those fire rod shots.
The most difficult thing about a Mothula fight really is balancing, getting your shots off and getting your attacks off with the patience of the fight. It's really easy to overcommit to a few things and moving around, and you just get bodied very, very quickly in this one. But Glan showing some expert spike dodging here, and he's down.
Unfortunately, only rewarded with 5 rupees, but a crystal. So that's the first one on the board, almost 50 minutes in, which is, I guess, not bad for Key Sanity. Usually it's a big collectathon to begin with, and then you start clearing out dungeons. So first crystal, 50 minutes. Might feel like it's a little bit slow, but it's really not too bad.
I mean, it's Key Sanity. If you expected this to be a seed that we'd be done with in an hour and 20 minutes, I have some news for you, friend.
Yeah.
And that head check is our good friend Vitor. I go bzzz.
So be in a bottle. Alrighty, Jet, where are you heading next? And for that matter, where's Glan gonna go next? We've got some, tough decisions to make here.
Yeah, this is when things start feeling a little bit more difficult because there's a lot of different places you could go, but again, you don't feel good about any decision that you're making.
Yeah, and as a runner, you're doubting every decision that you're making at this point. Glan's thinking about that Misery Mire dive from earlier, like, oh, what a waste of time. I'm sure Jet didn't do that. So, yeah, it's going to be rough trying to figure out what the next piece of logic is in this seed.
Jet looks like he's going into the back of Thieves Town, though. So this is going to be interesting. Will give us our first knowledge here. Again, 4 total checks back here. One of them we can't get to without the hammer, though. We do have, I believe, the small key to Thieves Town. More than that, it is the green pendant, so Sahasrara will be able to give us one more item. I actually kind of like this particular check, just given volume at this point.
Yeah, definitely. And considering that none of our other dungeon plays have really paid off between both runners here, as much as you don't want to dive a pendant when it's not part of the goal, it's looking, a little more likely that it could actually be holding your progression. Alrighty, what is in this attic chest here? Ooh, okay. So our big key to Desert Palace. That is a dungeon that we can clear out. We only get 2 more items out of that at this point because we don't have the small key. But that's not bad.
No, in fact, that might be another viable option. And if we were looking for any other reason for Jet to go over to that part of the world, that would be it. I mean, he'll be able to route in Misery Mire and Desert Palace. One dungeon he knows he can clear, and the other one that he knows he can clear up to at least being able to go to the boss. It seems like a pretty logical place for Jet to go next. But Jet is a much better runner than I am, so I'm going to wait to see what he decides to do next.
And from the looks of it, it looks like Glan's got the same idea here. Let's head into Thieves Town and see what we can dig up. So he's likely going to pick up this Desert Palace big key. Likely will send him in more or less the same direction.
Now, this is going to be kind of an interesting blind fight because I'm pretty sure the only thing that can damage blind right now is the cane. And again, this is not a cane that prevents damage. You are going to be taking a little bit of damage. And it really is a hog on mana right now. Mana, magic, I'm sorry.
Alrighty, Jet takes care of him, no problem there. Lucky he had that blue goo there. We got a small key from Tower of Hera.
Well done, Jet. Glan going to be doing kind of a similar route. Now, where does Jet go from here?
I gotta feel like that desert play's gotta be calling. Oh, quick turn of the pendant. You know, you've taken the time to do the green pendant dungeon. Just turn it in. Get it over with.
Committing to the gambles. I mean, I can appreciate it. We'll see if it pays off. Nope.
Not really so much. Alrighty, but after that short little trek over to Sasrala, we're doing our desert stuff here. So it looks like Desert Palace first because you can finish that one off. And then maybe Jet takes a peek into Mire because he has not yet.
Someone in chat brought up an interesting point. There is a possibility to steal the key that is in the second half of Desert Palace. That's a small key that's under a pot. Normally you need to progress through the rest of the dungeon. But do you steal it? Go check those 2 chests to see if it's worthwhile or anything, and then reset, do a hard reset out of it, and then come back. So you're not necessarily locked out of the game, unless it's something super important.
That's a really tough call. I think in a race of this magnitude, like, you probably wouldn't go for that. Just play the logic as it is at this point. It's definitely like a worthwhile strategy if you're playing. You want to play a little risky, but yeah, I don't think that Jet's going to go for that.
Meanwhile, Glan is on his blind fight. I mean, his lag fight.
Yeah, really. Once those 2 heads got rolling there, yeah, it was slowing down a little bit. Game was chugging just a touch.
But is able to pull it out. Meanwhile, Jet is getting set up for his Land Mollusk fight. Likely, yeah, gonna get his magic, so he has full magic and is going to be using Fire Rod for landfall.
All right, looking good there. Easy peasy. Grabs a small key here for Skull Woods. Ugh, don't want that. But it's a crystal dungeon, so that's another one to mark off here. That is Jet's first. It'll be Glan's second when he gets there.
All right, so Jet actually flying away. Looks like he has other things other than Misery Mire in mind. He's heading himself over here to Ice Palace.
Yeah, this had been talked about in chat a little while ago. You know, at this point, it's a pretty solid play. Hammer in here is possible, so it could very well be the play to make.
I think the thing that has made Ice Palace more attractive to me as a runner is those hint tiles that were introduced. Knowing that there are 3 hint tiles in here, really, you know, when you're kind of hemming and hawing about what to do, 3 hint tiles makes it a little bit more palatable when you might be unsure if you're going to commit to it. And there is the magic powder.
Alrighty, Glan enters the Lamolus fight. Ooh, misses with one of the fire shots there. Not too bad, though. Should have one more shot available. Ooh, he missed again. Arrow time.
Yeah, this is going to be a little bit difficult here. He gets it, though. I'm sure he was perfectly happy to see that Skullwood small key.
Yeah, no doubt. Now, going into Ice Palace here, our runners both have one small key to Ice Palace, which makes routing through this dungeon a little bit better. We'll get a check on the one chest that we can access on the right side before we have to go any further into the dungeon, which is nice. Like that we're getting an Ice Rod Cave check here an hour in. Jet already did that, just a compass to Ganon's tower. Whole lot of nothing, but Glan remembered that it was on the table still, so had to check it out.
Yeah, gotta knock it out while you still can. Man, we're starting to run out of options here. Jet has not found anything viable in Ice Palace yet. Lots of maps.
Yeah, Glan's heading up the mountain here. Are we going to see Spike Cave? We've also got the Hera Basement key, so that's a possibility as well.
That seems to be where Glan is heading, actually.
So this is the kind of move where he's probably feeling at least a little bit behind. Or if he's not behind, he's thinking this play could, give me a real edge. So, like, why not go for it? Ooh, wow. The Desert Palace small key. That right side Desert Palace, I'm really interested to see what's over there now.
Yeah, it's looking real interesting. Meanwhile, Glan is going to show us his coffee break here before too long. Both runners are really setting up for these kind of interesting one-offs that they have from the small key. Desert Palace small key or Tower of Hera small key. Also, this is like the third opportunity Jet's had to go to Misery Mire, been in the area, and we'll see if he goes.
Yeah, and the only chest that we haven't seen in Misery Mire is the big key, the big chest. Glan did not have the Misery Mire big key when he did his dip of Misery Mire. So if Jet does go in, we might get a little bit of new info on the seed here.
All right, moment of truth here for Glan. Oh! That's actually significant. That's our entrance into Turtle Rock there.
At the same time, Jet picks up the Turtle Rock big key. So each has a piece of that Turtle Rock puzzle. That's interesting.
And the worst part of it all is we still don't have the hammer, so we can't even get through the front door yet.
Or the cane to get any further into the dungeon once we step in the front door. So yeah, despite a pretty full inventory on both sides here, we just don't have, enough of the pieces to really start hammering out these dungeons, and that's frustrating when you're going through a keys seed and you're just kind of getting roadblocked everywhere you go.
Well, looks like Jet's going to be going over here, covering some space that Glan has already done, which is perfectly fine. It's another crystal that you're going to have to get done anyway. I am legitimately starting to wonder about Swamp Palace, though.
Yeah, it's really starting to feel a little more likely, yeah. We've also got the powder that we picked up in Ice Palace there. So that's a possibility. Neither runner has checked Magic Bat. But yeah, between the two, we're really getting low on locations.
It's key sanity. I don't know if I'd have it any other way.
Yeah. Alrighty, so Glan with a nice bomb jump there. Bomb jump a little more difficult in swordless mode. Make sure you're not using the sword to line up your bomb jump there. You got to use some part of the sprite to pull that jump off successfully.
Yep, most people end up using the shadow. I know I personally use a sword, and it always throws me off when I only have fighter sword and Ice Palace, but I think using the shadow is a popular maneuver that people have been using for quite a while now.
Alrighty, Jet's gonna have to be careful here. I don't think he has too many more shots left on the Moth. Oh, there he goes. Perfect.
Well done. Glan, meanwhile, still working his way through Ice Palace here. Is going to be disappointed in it all. Again, it comes down to those handful of locations. Misery Mire Big Chest, Magic Bat, and what was the third? And Swamp Palace. Now, it feels to me like Jet has almost intentionally avoided Misery Mire, so he might be just saving that and says, if I've already gambled that away, I'm going to save it to the very end.
It does kind of feel like that because, it is, a pretty viable dungeon. There's a lot of items in there. He definitely seems to be focusing on other things other than that. So he seems to be, like you're saying, kind of maybe leaving it as the last spot. I feel like this Desert Palace small key might get Glan to go back, not only do the right side of Desert, which will give him a couple more things, but maybe he then decides to just run back into Misery Mire and check that big chest. It might be a good opportunity for him.
Oh, and he's deciding, since he's in the area, might as well pick up some capacity upgrades. It's real quick there, and, an extra 5 bombs, like an extra 5 arrows, really do make quite a bit of difference.
Yeah, especially seeing as this seed hasn't given us our hammer yet. Got to use the weaponry that you have, and sometimes you're throwing bombs, so 5 more, that'll come in handy.
Might be looking to the future towards Bomb Strat Vitreous, maybe?
Could be.
Jet, going for the Magic Bat. We're going to see what this is. Glan is going to do that Desert Palace right side.
What? Another pod key? Ugh.
Wah, 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 wah.
Yep, my thoughts exactly.
All right, so we're down Misery Mire Big Chest, which is where Glan is going. You called it right. Otherwise Swamp Palace.
Yeah, I mean, I can't think of anything else that's still outstanding at this point.
Chat, if you can think of anything else that we've left out, feel free to correct us. I might be a bit of a scrub. Sabo's been around the block a few times, though. If he says this is what we're down to, I believe him.
Yeah, I really do think that's it. That one more key into pod, I think you could get into the big key chest if you wanted to. Oh, and the big chest in Misery Mire, just a map. That's so annoying. Yeah, I don't know.
That's a little rude. So here we go to Swamp Palace.
Oh yeah, right. So we can't do. I said Spike Cave. We don't have the hammer, so that doesn't work. I think it's Swamp.
I'm not gonna lie. I think I just threw up my mouth a little bit, thinking that the first couple chests in Swamp was actually the answer. Ugh.
I mean, what would be truly worse is if it's not the hammer, but it's another key that'll lead us then to the hammer. For the runner's sake, it's just give them the hammer. That's all we want at this point.
Boots are in Paradox Cave. The requisite required boots hammer.
That's great.
Last check or second to last check. Oh, but hey, everything's wide open now, right?
Right?
Big key to Tower Para. Okay, so we have everything we need now.
So, I mean, I think for both runners, like as much as you've last locationed, a pretty key item, I gotta feel that, Jet's going to imagine that Glan has also last locationed this spot. And when Glan gets the hammer, he's going to think the exact same thing. So, it's one of those spots you're never going to check until it's the last one. So both runners are probably not going to feel too far behind once they pick up the hammer.
I think if anything, Jet would feel more nervous because he knows that he would have the execution. So just knowing that Glan would have to make some sort of gamble in order to play. Swamp Palace is not a necessarily unusual gamble, especially with the item loadout we had. We were walking by Swamp Palace and had access to that hammer for the past 25, 30 minutes, so it's entirely possible that Jet can see Glan going in there. I tend to think that Glan could probably logic out that, this is an out of the way one. That it's likely Jet didn't do that and it's the last location. So he might feel better about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm just thinking, given that the flippers were right there in Hype Cave, that if you just dipped over to that one check real quick, you could have had a huge advantage. I think you're going to be saying something about Glan heading towards pod here, which is really unfortunate.
This is the most unfortunate, I really feel. There's another small key to Turtle Rock. That's what? I think that's 3 small keys to Turtle Rock at this point in time, which is all you need to clear it. If we're in go mode by then we're in good shape.
Yeah, it feels like There's got to be something else here in Swamp, I think. Another big key or something. Oh, we got the big key to Tower of Hera, right? So that's probably going to be pretty good for Jet, because he'll finish off that dungeon, and then he'll also get his Ether Medallion.
Presuming that he actually does the basement. Now,
Yes.
I can't imagine he would actually leave the basement behind for any reason, but, you know, when runners are feeling behind, they've been known to make some crazy gambles. I don't anticipate Jet feels that way, but it could happen.
Yeah, we're in everyone's favorite boss fight here. It is the menu boss Argus fight. This one is slow, but it's a way to do this one. In Swordless, it's your only option, really.
Yeah, I mean it's horrible. Let's face it.
Argus sometimes has a bit of a goofy hitbox here, but Jet's got it down pat there, like every time, just right in the right spot. Just 5 rupees for his trouble there, but another crystal.
So now's a good time to kind of track to see what else we're looking for. We're still missing a few pod small keys in order to logically be able to get through here. We are still missing, we don't need the Eastern Palace big key, theoretically. We have Misery Mire big key, we have Turtle Rock big key, we have Ganon Tower big key. Really, so we're just missing a handful of pod small keys, the Cane of Samaria, and that's it, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that is it. So it looks like Jet is gearing up to go back into Ice Palace, finish off that right side of Ice Palace, which we didn't get to see because we didn't have the hammer on our first go through. He bought some blue goo, so he is well stocked for the Cold Stare fight.
I actually kind of like this, because if he finds the Cane of Samaria here in this left side, he'll be able to clear out Ice Palace, he'll be able to do Misery Mire, which I think we are presuming is the other crystal. I mean, we still don't quite know which ones are the crystals. We know Turtle Rock is a crystal, but we don't know Ice Palace, Misery Mire, Tower of Hera, or Palace of Darkness. So one of those 4 is a pendant. The other 3 are crystals. So if he finds the cane here, he can do Ice Palace, Misery Mire, and then head up the mountain.
It looks like we just got a map check from Glan with a little bit more info on it. Ice Palace is a crystal, as is Misery Mire.
So either Hera or Pod is our final pendant.
I'm leaning towards Pod actually being a pendant. I feel like we'd have one more of the pod keys by now if it was looking more likely that it was the final crystal.
That feels right, but it could also really be trolling us at this point as well, so I don't know.
Yeah.
It really depends on what we find here on this back half of Ice Palace. For the seed's sake, I'm honestly hoping that we find this Cane of Samaria.
Mm-hmm. Alrighty, so Glan's got to get his butt over to Swamp Palace. I think he's running out of locations, so it's likely that he's heading there now. Oh, he was thinking about it, I think. Maybe just going to do powder here first.
I think he's already done powder, actually.
Oh, did he? Uh-oh.
I think, anyway. He seems to be heading right that direction, but...
Ooh, actually, chat pointing out very astutely that we don't have access to Swamp from that portal that Glan was trying to get to, because we don't have the hammer. So he had to flute over to Village of Outcasts and go from there.
Nothing in these other two chests, so it is on our way to Cold Stare right now.
Now, this, Jet's got a bit of an advantage at this point, but I wonder, Jet hasn't set foot in Misery Mire yet, and I wonder if now is the time where he finally gets jebaited into going there, because we know there's nothing in there, and it might give Glan a little bit of time to catch up. Picking up that Tower of Hera, big key for him. He's not going to have too many other options and might go right up there, which might be where our next piece of progression is.
I don't know. I mean, that's the beauty of Randomizer. You can't easily predict what's going to happen, especially at this level. It's exciting to watch, though. It's still, I mean, I agree, Jet definitely has an advantage in this race right from this point. Glan still, though, making a race. And Glan showing his frustration. Why are you there?
Yeah, I don't blame him. Really nice cold stare here from Jet. Used his magic well, and then hammer for a couple of last few shots there, and we got a Cane of Samaria here in Ice Palace. That's not good news for Glan, I don't think.
No, not at all. That absolutely, if there was anything that Jet was waiting on any further for Misery Mire, I don't know what. Go west, young son.
Yep, he is definitely making the Mire play there. So he is going to full clear this, because he is still looking for that Ether Medallion. Glan picked that up in Hera Basement. So that's a location that is going to take Jet a little while to get to, so there might be some checks along the way that might slow him down just a touch. Glan at this point has got to be like dead on with every move that he makes, I think, to kind of get his way back into this one.
Absolutely. Although, Glan, I don't know how he's necessarily feeling, but the last check for Hammer, I think, as you said earlier, he may feel pretty good that Jet also had the last check. The problem is Jet, just from superior execution, his last check was significantly earlier than Glan's last check. So it's right now looking very good for Jet.
Yeah, I agree that things are definitely looking in his favor at this time. Still a fair chunk of this race left ahead of him, so anything could happen, but yeah, Jet is in good shape at this time. Now, one thing we are seeing here is Glan is checking out left side swamp, and I'm pretty sure that Jet just bailed on that. So if there is something over here, we know there's not going to be anything, because it could be silver arrows. That is one thing that we are still kind of looking for. So if that's over here, that will definitely help Glan out. So these two locations are pretty key for Glan here. If it is silver arrows, it's going to be a real nice find. Just 5 rupees in the first chest here. And what do we have in the second? 20 rupees. So unfortunately not. Left side is a whole lot of nothing. Alrighty, so Jet's still working his way through Misery Mire here. A couple more chests still to go on the right side. He took care of the ones on the left first, which is a good call. When you've got a couple keys in hand, you can go into that left side right away. Alrighty, so Glan heading into the back of Swamp Palace now. Just a couple more checks in here to do, then he'll be on his way. Hopefully he goes right into Ice Palace and finishes that off.
While these two are kind of running over each other's footsteps right now, I do want to give a quick programming. I don't want to call it necessarily an announcement or anything, just a note. There is tomorrow, starting at 10:30 a.m. We don't quite know what channel it's going to be on yet, but a triple header between Mikan versus ACM LM, starting at 10:30 Eastern. They have up to 3 races they have to complete for their round, so they're knocking them all out one after another. So if you're not doing anything else tomorrow, triple header, Mikan versus ACM LM. Be ready for that one.
Yeah, that should be a pretty good set there. And the fact that it's going to be a triple header, if it does come down to 3 games, that's a lot of rando action to enjoy tomorrow.
Oh, no, Jet didn't quite set up the spooky action glitch. Okay.
Pretty Glan in the Argus fight here. Menu boss round 2.
Meanwhile, Jet is setting up no silver arrows, only 7 bombs. We'll see. Yeah, he's starting out with some bomb strats here.
Yeah, just trying to chip away a little bit of damage on the eyeballs here before maybe going for arrows here.
I am actually a little bit surprised he didn't try to use some of that magic on those anti-fairies, because he's only at 4 hearts right now. He was practicing earlier some hammer strats on these eyes. Problem with that is you need a little bit of health to do that, and he does not have the health.
Looks like he does have a blue potion hanging out in the inventory there, so if worse comes to worse, he might use that. I'm sure he's not wanting to use it, if at all possible.
Oh, yeah, 1 heart. Yep, now's the time to use it. Ooh, nice lightning dodge there.
Yeah, working out the number of arrows perfectly there. He's got 8 left to take down the big eye.
GG. Well done, Jet. All for a bloopy.
Yeah, I think that Vitreous fight is probably the hardest boss to deal with in a Swordless Seed. You've got to think of different strategies to come up with to take him out. and he hits so hard. Even with the blue mail, it's still not a lot of fun. So yeah, big props to Jet for taking that one down.
So here's the interesting thing. Jet now knows that Palace of Darkness is our final dungeon. So he's going over here hoping to find the Ether Medallion. I mean, he's going to waste a little bit of time, you know, clearing out Tower of Hera, maybe scaling Tower of Hera even, before checking that basement, hoping that it's there, won't it?
Yeah, I mean, and with Glan heading right into Ice Palace here, he's going to pick up his Cane of Samaria. He's still a Misery Mire behind at this point, but he's already been through there, so he knows nothing there. He's going to go right for Vitreous. Yeah, Jet could spend a little bit of time before actually getting into go mode.
I mean, I still think Jet has the advantage, but it's a lot closer than I think we originally thought, because Glan's right on his tail at this point.
Yeah, I think what it'll come down to is if Jet dips Hera. Like, if he decides to do more kind of like overworld goofiness, I don't think he really has too much else that he can do, though. So, he's gonna find himself kind of locked out pretty quickly, and Tower of Hera might be his last play, but he doesn't really have too many to go with anyway.
Well, I mean, here's the problem, because it all is associated with that late hammer. So we have things like hammer pegs, we have things like Spike Cave, we have things. I'm trying to think other places in the world that might have the hammer, but those are two locations that I can think of right off the top of my head where the hammer is required. So those might pull him a different direction for a bit.
Yeah, it is entirely possible that he does get kind of pulled towards some of those checks, and those aren't quick, easy checks. Those are, you're spending about a minute or so on each one of those. All right, Glan, having already taken care of everything here in Ice Palace, now making a quick beeline down to Cold Stare. Now, one thing I am wondering about is key count. I'm wondering if Glan has one pod key left. I saw his menu there. I don't know that he does. I think he might have burned one extra one when he dipped the dungeon.
That would be really unfortunate, because, I mean, Jet used them most efficiently. Can you imagine if our next logical access to a pod key would be, say, that key on Lumberjack Lit?
Oh, wow, that'd be the worst one for sure. I was just gonna say somewhere like in Turtle Rock or something, which would still be really unfortunate. Hey, so Jet takes out Helmasaur King there and comes across the Silver Arrows, the final piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, that's actually really nice. I mean, you can do swordless, silverless Ganon, but
yeah. Meanwhile, Glan right down to the wire there with the Cold Stare fight, takes him down, picks up his Cane of Samaria. He is in good shape to keep moving on here.
Oh, and Jet is going right up the mountain.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. There are more checks up this way. He's got the hammer now, so if he wants to, he can check out the Ether Tablet. I think he might have used the book to take a look at it already. I can't remember what it was, if that was the case. But he's also got the top of Tower of Hera, as well as the basement where our Ether Medallion is hanging out.
Yep, so he's going to be using the ether tablet for a big 20. Trying to get into the Tower of Hera. Got dead rock there a little bit. That's unfortunate, but he is, in fact, going to make the dive. And going straight up, he is not going into the basement. For now, at least.
I mean, you know, in his mind, these are the quicker checks, and I would agree that you're spending less time if you're going to grab these two chests. Maybe I don't know if you do Moldorm or not, but these ones are quicker for sure than going right down to the basement.
Yeah, I completely agree. Glan looks like he's trying to set up spooky action right there. Oh, there's another pod small key. Oh boy.
So Glan is going to need that, or another one if one should emerge somewhere else.
Yep, there was Glan with that spooky action glitch. Oh, didn't. Okay, got it there the second time. Saved a little bit of time there in Misery Mire.
Yeah, that was pretty slick.
And that was an interesting setup that I had not seen done before. He did it actually on the floor above. Normally I'd seen it kind of right there in the dark room, but he did it on the floor above when you can still see exactly what you're doing.
Alrighty, so those extra bombs kind of coming in handy for Glan here. He's got, I think he had 13 at his disposal there, so this is going to make this fight a little bit easier. And Jet is going to go back into Tower of Hera to check out the basement. Glan's got to be really careful here. He's only got 2 hearts. I assume he doesn't have any potions, and yikes, he takes the death.
That is rough for Glan. Right as he's going through, he's thinking about it for a second and says, yeah, I got to go back, get some potions. That is, I think, the hardest pill to swallow for a lot of runners, is knowing when something is too tough and you need to go out and get some safeties. It's a bit of an ego blow, but once you can do it, once you make the decision, you just have to. And I'm eating my words because he's not going there.
Is he tossing some bottles into the ferry there to get them refilled for free?
Either that or he's purchasing more upgrades.
Yeah, right? There you go. Meanwhile, over on our left screen here, Jet has officially entered Go mode after picking up that Ether Medallion. So just Turtle Rock ahead of him, and then he'll be on his way to Ganon's Tower, because we got that Ganon's Tower big key really early in the seed, right there in Hyrule Castle.
Yeah, whoever guessed number 4, you won. Ugh.
So Glan, feeling a little bit tilted probably from that death there, is choosing to just skip on Misery Mire for now. He's got everything he needs to get into Turtle Rock, so it looks like he's heading up that way, although he's going through Super Bunny here. Has he not done this check yet?
Pretty sure he had. It was part of the Death Mountain checks that we made very early in the game when it was almost felt linear.
Maybe just trying to avoid dead rocks. They are the enemy of all runners.
Oh, Jet's getting knocked around by this troll skeleton here.
You know, he is perfectly placed to do that often, like way more often than he should. He always seems to be right there waiting to knock you back. Yeah, chat pointing out nicely here that Glan was going for that full magic refill in Super Bunny Cave to be able to actually use the Ether Medallion here. So nice job, chat.
Very heads-up knowledge there by chat. I appreciate you guys. So while Jet is able to just rush Turtle Rock and skip these side rooms, Glan, unfortunately, is going to be full clearing it because he is still looking for things like the silver arrows. I think he's still looking for... I mean, he's still looking for a pod small key as well, I believe. So he's kind of in a rough spot right now in checking everything, whereas Jet can be Jet.
Yeah, that's definitely that's what we're seeing here. I really hope Glenn can pick up that missing pod key here. I know we saw one in Tower of Hera, but just for his sake, you know, it'd be nice to just pick it up here, not have to keep fretting about where that is.
It would be nice. That's Staphos did it again.
He's the worst.
And number 2. So here comes a very interesting boss that you have to menu for, and does take 6 hammer hits. Jet didn't quite get.
Unfortunately, Glan taking a death there. Alrighty, and with no magic left in the pot there, Jet takes down both sides of Trinex into phase 2 here.
AA actually corrects me. 5 hammer hits, just one of those hits Jet did not register, unfortunately. So he is now going through.
And 10 arrows for his trouble there. You know, not a bad pickup. It's nice to have a couple more arrows heading into Ganon's tower because you are going to need them. Anyway, seeing as Jet has picked up his 7th crystal, he's heading for Ganon's tower. We like to play a little game here on Speed Gaming. If you, we're looking for the big key. Actually, no, never mind. We're not doing that. I've been doing so many open and standard, just regular matches that I have completely forgotten this is Key Sanity. So, sorry guys, no leaderboard today.
No game for you. King Sabatender says no.
No. Hey, I'm seeing a lot of 4s in chat here. I think people have got the message that 4 is the right chest. Yeah. Good work, everyone.
I mean, you're not wrong, chat.
Yeah. We got to put them all on the leaderboard. Everyone that says 4, yep, we got to put them on there. Good job, everyone. Leaderboard getting real crowded.
I was gonna say, you're the one doing that one, right? Like, I'm not staying after work to do that one.
Yeah, right. Definitely best part of Key Sanity is to be able to just walk right up and start doing the ascent here.
Absolutely. It's just nice. Be like, no, I don't have to worry about left side, right side gambles, anything like that. Like, no, tile room. I'm gonna just ignore you.
So first two rooms with the mimics there. Jet making quick work, executing like a pro here.
Absolutely, just powering through everything. And yeah, Jet does have the silvers. They were on the Helmasaur King. Silvers will only work when you're in hard mode, will only work in Ganon's room himself. So yeah, he looks like wooden arrows right now and won't be doing any extra damage. He's really got to watch out and make sure he saves his ammo for that as needed.
Yeah, nice pickup there. The 5 arrows underneath that pot. That is always there for you if you need a couple arrows. So Jet, knowing that, picks those up. Definitely helps out.
I'll say these gauntlet rooms absolutely become much more fascinating when you're trying to run around with the hammer. They're slippery enough just running around normally trying to swing your sword, but when you're trying to hammer things with that wonky hitbox, man, it just really becomes difficult. So kudos to Jet for getting through that so fast.
Meanwhile, we've got Glan giving us a look at Laser Bridge. Unfortunately, not going to find anything here, but we will find some things, including our red boomerang. Ugh, Castle Tower key.
Ew. And he's probably thinking, no, not that. Oh, so that was the second Castle Tower key. So they're both in Turtle Rock. That's a little bit disgusting.
Yeah, no kidding. And considering that there is a small key hanging out on the Lumberjack cave there, and Glan is short one for Pod, I really hope he doesn't decide to go for a tower play. Alrighty, Jet is almost there. He's almost at the top of the tower. This is it's pretty solid. We've seen throughout. Jet's been just doing an excellent job here. Both runners have put on a really great show. This has been a great top 16 match to watch here. It came down to a game 3 between these two, so it really was anyone's game going into this one, and it shows that there's a lot of quality in our top flight here.
Absolutely. Just an amazing tournament, all things said. I mean, I think when I first joined the community about a year ago for the fall tournament, it was, everyone was good, but man, the talent difference in the community as a whole has just jumped up so much in the past year. It's good to see so many new faces coming out here and giving the old timers a good run for their money.
Yeah, I think that's really exciting when a new challenger appears to show us what they've got. That's a lot of fun. Alrighty, Aga 2 fight, and we've got Jet with the bug net in hand. One of the only uses for the bug net.
I mean, it's a lot easier to use than a hammer at this point.
It's a little bit harder to angle the shots, but it does give you more frames of swing to work with. And Jet finishes it off there.
Nice double there. So Jet completes AGA 2 and is off to Mr. Blue Bacon himself. Glan, meanwhile, is re-entering Misery Mire. He's looking for some revenge at this point.
Alrighty, so using the hammer on Ganon here, phase 1, not too bad. You can get pretty close to him. It's not a big deal. Phase 2 is definitely the worst part of this fight. But we did see Jet practicing this before the match began, so he's got a good sense of what to do here, I think. Alrighty, popping a bit of blue goo just to be safe. That's a really tough position to get those hits on, but he got just enough to get through into phase 3, so now the fight is a little easier again. We've got the silver arrows in hand, so it won't be any kind of silverless, swordless fight, which is just nonsense, and you shouldn't try it. It's way too difficult.
Yeah. Do not ever go for it.
Great timing there.
Oh, and he gets the... Oh, double. Wow.
Yeah, a double to finish him off, and it looks like Jet082 is your winner for this match. Moving on to the round of 8. Put your GGs in the chat for Jet.
Absolutely great race run by Jet. Remember, he hadn't done any dungeons even by the time we were at almost an hour, and he came, and we're sitting at an hour 51, and already a winner. And I do believe that is a Jet082 joining us. GG's, man.
Hey, GG. Oh my gosh, what a seed.
Yeah, no kidding, huh?
Hammer. Hammer. Oh my.
Yeah, of course it was there, right?
I had a feeling. I walked right by. I'm like, I briefly thought, I'm like, I just got the swamp key. You know, I think I just got flippers at that point. And I'm like, I could just go in. Maybe I should just go. No, it takes a minute and it's going to be crap. I'm just going to keep on walking. And then as I'm checking everything else, it's feeling worse and worse because I'm getting nothing. I mean, I got the Meyer Big Key from Catfish, but I don't think I got anything else that was good. And I'm just like, this was such a bad play. It's in swamp. It's just in swamp, and it's going to take me forever to get back there. I'm like, this is such a huge mistake. Ended up triple dipping desert just looking for, well, hammer. And then I had the like blue cane on blind and what was it? Fire rod on Mothula. I had to go get potions for that. I'm just like, this is it. Like I'm losing. There's nothing I could do. I got that hammer. I'm like, yes, of course. And then I'm just like, I'm in full on gamble mode. Like that's why I skipped so many things. I'm like, I needed cane, ether, and silvers at that point after I got hammer. And I'm just like, I'm just going to check the dungeons that I have to do and just have to cross my fingers and really hope. Skip left-hand side swamp, and that takes too long, and just hope. And the seed worked. I don't understand. I like never gamble.
I mean, it was really an amazing race. You know, the early part was really overworld heavy. It felt like the early game through CAC was just loaded. And then things just kind of ground to a halt until you finally made the dip over there to get that hammer.
Oh my gosh. What a horrible location. But I have a couple of friends that I'm sure appreciate that location of the hammer.
I mean, it's a great spot from a viewer standpoint. I mean, I think everyone here was really excited to see it show up there. As a runner, no, it's the worst. I hate it.
So I just, as soon as I picked it up, I'm like, Glan got this ages ago because I should have went in when I was right there. I'm sure he made the correct call. and I'm just waiting for that dot done at any point. I'm like, I have to hope I found something that he didn't. But like, Silvers and Kane were both on bosses. Ether, like maybe I don't remember where the Hera small key was, but I know I could have gotten it before I got hammered. So it was one of those keys I picked up while looking for other things. I don't even remember where it was though.
Well, maybe our other racer can give us a hand as to where that might be. We've got Glan here. GG's, man.
GG, Jen.
Oh my gosh.
So, kind of a rough seed there, Glan. Give us, I guess, a couple opening thoughts. And also, we actually had a question about where that small key for Hera was. Do you remember where it was?
The small key.
I know, it was like so long ago.
If you can't remember, that is quite all right.
They were like right after getting it, pretty much.
Yeah, you did. That's right.
It might have been like desert right side or something.
Yeah,
Ooh.
Amazing Amparos is telling us that Land Molus dropped it, is what he's saying.
There was a big key on the right-hand side of, I think it was Turtle Rock big key in desert.
Yeah,
right.
that sounds right.
Yeah.
That's right, because it was one of you, I think Glan, got the Ether Medallion at the same time that Jet ended up getting the big key to Turtle Rock. So we were like, well, there's two pieces of the puzzle.
Yeah, I don't remember where anything was really, except the hammer.
That's usually how my seeds go. I always forget exactly where everything was the minute the race is over. So that's no surprise. Yeah, I don't know. It's just a couple of double, triple dips there that kind of caught you. I think the first Vidi death was definitely the nail in the coffin there. Unfortunately, that must have, that always feels bad. But
Yeah.
I mean, Swordless Vidi is just, I mean, with hard mode, so you can't even use silvers on him. He's just ridiculous.
That assumes you had silvers.
Right.
Yeah, they were hanging out on Helmasaur King, so you would have got them eventually.
Yeah.
I'm just really curious where all the pod small keys are, because there's 6 of them, and I only got 3. And I think you were still looking, Glan, for a small key.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
no
believe
clue.
there was another one somewhere. I think what we were all really concerned about is that final pod small key that everyone was looking for on the lumberjack ledge, because it was a small key there.
Yeah, that was probably one. Big key chest might have been one.
And maybe second castle tower chest. We hadn't checked that at all because we got those 2 tower keys in Turtle Rock, so neither of you went for that.
I mean, as soon as
Turtle
I
Rock
saw
big
that
key
small
chest.
key, when I saw that small key, I'm like, I'm not gonna waste keys. I'm not gonna steal a key in desert. I'm gonna have one key for pod, even if I skip the chest, because I'm like, I do not want to have to find the castle tower keys in case that was it. And we found like the Meyer keys, and we found the Ganon tower key, so it's like that. I'm pretty sure that's pod, because I don't think there's anything else left.
Yeah, I found both Skullwood's keys too.
Yeah.
Both ice keys.
Well, with this win, Jet, you move on to the next round. Your next round opponent is Thalane, I believe? Yeah, Thalane. So, I mean, refresh my memory. Have you guys ever raced against each other, at least in a tournament format before?
I feel like we might have. I mean, he's been around for a while. I feel like the answer, I want to say yes, but I don't know. It's like we've been doing these tournaments for like over 2 years now. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's been pretty much nonstop for better part of 2 years, and Thalane's definitely been around. Winner most recently of the German randomizer tournament, so definitely no slouch. But Jet, you're still doing Group F proud here. We're very happy that you're moving on.
That's right.
So
Gotta
good work, my
represent.
man.
I do want to say like, make sure you guys give Glan a follow. Like, he's really, really good, and especially like this game 3, I think it could have went either way. And
Yeah, I agree. I mean, based on how your set went here, you know, I mean, it was you won the first by about 7 minutes or so. Glan took the second by 10. So it definitely could have gone either way, and you both were pretty evenly matched throughout. Just a couple of checks here and there, and the way the keys fell, kind of gave you the edge there. So that is how it goes sometimes.
Yeah. This is why I say to people, do not skip locations ever. If you're nearby, you do them.
yeah, it's funny. I agree with that, even though this was not a great example of me doing that. See, just because as soon as I found that hammer, I'm like, I need to gamble all of the things because Glan had this ages ago, and I'm so screwed. So I ended up gambling a lot, and it feels sort of bad because I hate doing that, and that's why I like Key Sanity so much.
I hated doing it too.
Yeah, I like Key Sanity because it pays to check a lot of places, and you can check everything on the way. There's so many more items that are required for progression, but I'm like, I have to make a play to catch up.
Yeah, and like I watched our last 2 races, and they were very close up until the deciding moment.
You
So
know,
I figured, like, I have to make this gamble because it's not a huge chance the hammer's there, and it'll gain me a minute and a half.
right. Man, for a moment, like right before I went into ice, because I mentioned in our chat that I went into ice looking for hammer. I'm like, this is just a repeat of the first game, isn't it? Hammer's just gonna be sitting in the big chest.
Yeah.
And I already did thieves, so I'm like, there's probably something good in the big chest and thieves.
I did thieves first this time too.
So we don't even know what's in the big chest.
No, that could have been a pot small key.
And yeah, that was a crazy seed.
No doubt, no doubt. Well, I guess we'll start to kind of wrap things up here. Any more questions, Vitasia?
No, just GG to both Jet082 and Glan. If you have not yet, follow these guys on Twitch. Great race, both of you guys. I am still in awe of what both of you are able to do. So, GG.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Alrighty, so that's gonna wrap it up, I guess, for today. A big shout out to our wonderful tracker, Cassidy Moen, behind the scenes, clicking those buttons, much appreciated. So thank you so much for doing that. GG's again to our runners. We've got that triple header, the potential triple header, Mekon versus ACMLM tomorrow, starting at 10:30 a.m. So that's it's gonna be an all-day rando affair for anybody interested in seeing how that goes. And big thanks to my co-com Vitasia. It's been a blast working with you again, my man.
Oh, Sabatender, I love working with you every single time. GG's to you as well. Love working with you every time.
Awesome. And with that, that is going to do it. So for everyone here at Speed Gaming, thank you so much for joining us, chat, and we'll catch you next rando.